Hello, everybody. Welcome to Module 4, Relationship Building. How are you doing? Do you have any questions about any of the previous modules? I encourage you to start completing some of your deliverables. When you do, please read the instructions, watch what you're supposed to submit. Are you going to submit a paper or PowerPoint? If you're going to submit a paper, what are the requirements? How long should they be? If it says 2 to 3 pages, please remember that means at a minimum 2 complete pages. Also, if you're working with a document, please submit either a Word document or an RTF file. Please do not submit a PDF file. What about PowerPoint? Look at how many slides are required. The slide count does not include the title slide or references. It only includes the slides that are between the title and the references. I encourage you to keep practicing with your APA formatting. Remember, Rasmussen University Online Library offers a wealth of information about 7th edition APA formatting. So if you're not really sure how to do APA formatting, I encourage you to go to our online library in that special section on APA formatting. I've posted the link a couple of times in our course announcement. If you're still having problems finding it, please let me know. Okay, let's get back to Module 4, Relationship Building. I always encourage you to read the content inside our course and then focus on the deliverable. Deliverable 4 has 2 parts. Part 1, we're going to create a detailed agenda for the day. What's happening is you're going to put together a training session that will last all day long, and you'll have certain activities that you should include. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Part 2, you're going to summarize the events you will hold. The goal, and keep this in mind, the goal is to how to cultivate fair, respectful, and equitable treatment, opportunities, and outcomes for others and oneself. So while we're putting together our agenda and selecting the different activities we'll have, please keep that goal in mind. Now, there's 5 types of events you need to consider and include in your presentation. They are training courses, diversity awareness exercises, team building activities, employee motivation, and sales tools for understanding and communicating. All right, so that's a brief overview about what we're going to be talking about. So we're going to start by reading the content inside our course. And then when we're ready, we'll turn to Deliverable 4. Now, usually when you looked at this, the scenario might have been kind of short when you were working on deliverables 1 through 3. Well, Deliverable 4 is different. Please read all of the scenario. It offers very specific information and requirements that you must meet in order to succeed in Deliverable 4. So I've highlighted a few things here. I'm not going to read everything, but I've tried to flush out some of the key parts. The HR director at your organization has noticed that many of the business development representatives, or the BDRs, and sales team representatives do not know each other or appreciate one another's diversity. And that can really create an issue because we can't do it alone. We need both the BDRs and the sales team to work together. The HR director thinks this could be a reason for impaired communication and collaboration. Let's go to the next paragraph. Because you are the lead BDR, the HR director has put you in charge of creating a fun event The fun event's going to last all day long. The main objective for the event is to ensure all participants know how to cultivate fair, respectful, and equitable treatment, opportunities, and outcomes for others and oneself. So that's the overall goal for this day long fun event. What's your job? Your job is to create a detailed agenda for the day. I'm going to say this more than once throughout this presentation, but it's critical that you get all the requirements in there. Your team building session will last for 8 hours. Start your day at 8 a.m. Schedule two 15-minute breaks in the morning between 8 and noon, and two in the afternoon between 1 and 4. Allow your team a 1 hour lunch break between noon and 1. So we've got this requirements there that are just starting. We've looked at the clock. We know we've got 8 hours to do this in. There's certain restrictions that we have to operate in, and we have to be sure to offer breaks. Okay, let's keep going because that's not all. You need to summarize the events and activities you will facilitate. Vary your activities to include training courses, diversity awareness exercises, team building activities, and employee motivation sessions. Next paragraph. During one of your training sessions, identify at least 3 sales tools your sales team might use to bridge the gap of understanding and communicating between the BDR and sales team. And finally, the last thing that you're going to do at this day-long event is to schedule a 30-minute wrap-up and sharing session. Now, we already stated it's going to be 8 hours long. We know it's going to run from 8 to 4. We know we have to include 2 breaks in the morning and 2 breaks in the afternoon. We have to allow an hour lunch break. And at the very end, starting at 3:30, allocate time for a 30-minute wrap-up and sharing session. So that wrap-up and sharing session should go between 3:30 and 4. All right, so we're going to write a 2 to 3 page proposal about the team building retreat. And we're going to use Microsoft Word document. We're not going to use PDF. It's a 2 to 3 page proposal. Please be careful. 2 to 3 pages, 2 full pages. Please don't give me 1 page, 1 1/4 pages. Please, minimum should be 2 pages, 2 full pages. Then you have your instructions. Let you read that, right? I know you do. You will need fairness, respect, equitable treatment, opportunities, and outcomes. So remember the goal of this day-long event. All right. Grading rubric. Let's focus in on this. Number 1, thoroughly listed the planned events, showing the scheduled time for each, including start and end times. I recommend using a table for that, an APA formatting table, and I'll say more about that in a minute. Let's go down to item number 2. Thoroughly summarize each activity, each of the 5 goals: cultivating fairness, respect, equitable treatment, opportunities, and outcomes for others and oneself. When you're writing your description of your different events, I must see what it's going to be about. Please don't be shortchanged on that. You're supposed to write at least 2 to 3 pages, 2 to 3 full pages using APA formatting. Item number 3, thoroughly identified more than, see that key phrase? More than 3 sales tools. Why do I stress the more than 3 sales? Let's look under column number 3 for proficiency. Compare those 2 items. You identified 3 sales tools. So if you only identify 3 sales tools, you're going to fall under the proficiency column. But if you want to master this, you're going to have to identify more than 3 sales. So watch that phrase, more than 3 sales. And finally, the fourth item, include 2 or more professional resources. So what's the difference between a professional resource and not a professional resource? Newspapers are not professional. Encyclopedias are not professional. What are professional sources? Sites that are recognized by businesses as being reputable sites. You might almost say they're peer reviewed, but we won't go to that extreme. But they must be professional sources. So no Wikipedia, nothing like that. It's got to be professional source. No newspapers, no magazines that can go into the grocery store and buy off the counter, right? We want professional sources. Got to watch out for APA formatting, but we know where we can go to master our APA formatting, and that's on the Rasmussen University Online Library in their APA 7th edition section. I encourage you to go there often because you'll see that APA formatting will be a requirement. Another thing, your APA formatting includes headings. Headings are 3 to 5 words, a line left, bold print. I need to see the headings. Why? Because they help me realize that you have covered all the essential parts in the assignment. And it's part of APA 7th edition formatting. They use it to help the reader read the content. Want your grammar and spelling. And let's go on. Okay, part 1. We've mentioned this more than once. Team building sessions will last for 8 hours. Start at 8 a.m. So as I'm reading all these requirements, I think what I would probably do is take out a sheet of paper. I know it's going to start at 8 and I know it's going to end at 4. I put on the paper, I would write that down. So I've got 8 a.m. at the top, 4 p.m. at the bottom. And what comes in between that 8 a.m. and 4 p.m.? The next requirement, 2 15-minute breaks between 8 p.m. and noon. So here on my sheet of paper, I draw another thick line for noon. Now I've got 8 to noon and then 1 to 4 because I have a lunch break between 12 and 1. I'm going to block off all my time so I know I have to do something. I have to make sure I start at 8. I have to make sure I stop at 4. I have to make sure I give 2 15-minute breaks in the morning and 2 15-minute breaks in the afternoon. Also, here's another requirement. I have to allow a final cover review for the day, a 30-minute wrap-up session. And that's going to go on between 3:30 and 4. So I'm going to mark that down on my sheet of paper. And then I'm going to look. Okay, I've got 2 15-minute breaks in the morning, 2 15-minute breaks in the afternoon. I know what time it starts. I know what time it ends. I know I have to have 2 15-minute breaks in the morning and 2 15-minute breaks in the afternoon. So please chart it out and then decide how you're going to fill that extra time in with the different activities. Part 2, you're going to have different activities, training courses, diversity awareness and exercises, team building activities, employee motivation. And one of the training sessions must identify at least 3 sales tools. And you know what we just noticed on that grading rubric? If you only tell us 3 sales tools, you're proficient, but you haven't mastered it. If you provide more than 3 sales tools, then you will have mastered it. So the highest point you can earn, go for more than 3 sales tools. So here it is, getting ready. We've got our lines on our paper. We know what restrictions we have, and we know what requirements we must meet. And now, part 2, summarize the events you will hold. Vary your activities to include all 5 of these, right? Training courses, diversity awareness, team building, employee motivation, and sales tools. We know we have to include all of these in our day long event, our day long fun event. So list the plan events. Look at how we do this. We're using APA formatting. Note how you format your table using APA formatting. Note where the bars are, or the lines, whatever you want to call them, borders. Note the different columns. We also said we had to give the start time and the end time. It might be really helpful to give us a little table like this, so then we can easily see the different events. So how about some training courses? What might you include? Coming along now, I'm going to share some sites with you. These might work for you. You might know of others. So let's kind of explore the environment out there. What do we have? Did you know companies willing to invest in sales training are 57% more effective than rival companies that make no such investments? So this is a good reason why we should have sales training. We want to be successful. Free online sales courses through Allison. That's one site you might want to use. There's another one, 9 free online classes for managers who care about diversity and inclusion. Diversity and inclusion is another area we were supposed to be covering, right? So here's some free online classes. Free is always better than paid. Some free courses. Look at some of these headings as you're going down through that list and think about what we're trying to focus on during this day-long event. Do you see some relationship here? You see some items that might help you? And these are all part of training courses and they're free. So I'll get you the link to that in case you're interested. The next one we've got to look at is diversity awareness exercises. Did you know that there's a difference between equity and equality? Let's start by just briefly looking at that image you have on the slide. One shows equality and another shows equity. And let's compare. Although equity and equality sound similar, they are not synonymous. To properly plan for a more equitable workplace, it's important to have a strong understanding of how these terms differ. So, equality, what does equality mean? Equality seeks to provide all employees with the access to the same resources. So let's look back at the image. You see equality? All of them have the same resources. But is it equitable? It might be equal, but is it equitable? Equity is distinct from equality. It doesn't provide the same resources and opportunities to everyone because not all people are created equal. Let's look at the image, look at equality, and look at equity. With equality, all the boxes are the same size. But look at the height of the people. The person in blue is much taller than the person in purple. Even though we had the same resources, the person that was short had a problem seeing. So then we started thinking, well, maybe equality is not the best thing to do, but maybe we should focus on equity. Now look what happened. Look at the heads. They're all pretty much even, all the way across. Now, what are they standing on? Well, the tall person doesn't need anything to stand on. He's tall enough to see over with no problem at all. Then look at the other two people. The person in the middle only needed one box, whereas the person on the end needed two boxes. But by providing equity and promoting equity, everybody had the opportunity to enjoy the game. So there is a difference between equity and equality. Diversity awareness exercises. Here are some possible sources. Remember, in our course announcements, I'll be posting links to all these. By no means are you required to use any of the sources I share with you. Use the sources you prefer. Then we have one that's on team building. You see that this is a popcorn icon? This means it's a short video. I like this one. The 4 types of team members you can hire. You might find this interesting. It's short. I hope you enjoy it. Here's another source. What are the best team building activities for collaboration and why? Why am I focusing on these topics? I'm focusing on them because I looked at the scenario. I know what type of events I'm supposed to be planning for this day-long event. And then I went hunting for different activities. Now, we don't have to have as many activities as I'm going to share with you. So your goal is pick and choose. Find the ones you think people would be interested in seeing or participating in. In this article, how important is teamwork? What is team building? Why team building? And the best 25 team building activities. So this source will provide you with 25 building activities. Here's another source. 31 team building activities your team will actually love. Another source. Top 50 team building games that your employees would love to play. So I'm giving you so many different sources. All you have to do is choose the ones you like. Steps to improve employee motivation. That's another area we're going to focus on. So what do we have to do to improve employee motivation? Enable autonomy. Recognize effort and achievement. Be positive. Encourage employees to embrace failure. Say, what? You want your employees to fail? No, we want our employees to learn from their failure, from their mistakes. If we do everything correct all the time, we really won't learn. But if we stumble along the way, we're going to learn. Get some hard knocks, but we'll learn and we'll be that much better off. And finally, encourage communication. No one person has all the correct answers. We're going to work together as a team. 499 employee engagement ideas. So possible, you might find some activities you'll use in this source. Why we love employee engagement activities, and you should too. 4 items are addressed in this article. 10 reasons why you should invest in employee engagement activities. 5 quick and easy examples. 5 simple tips. And finally, here's why we love employee engagement activities. So in that article, it's going to talk about these 4 parts. How about this one? 23 freakishly effective ways to motivate employees. You might find some sources there. Now, as you're looking at some of these activities, you might like bits and pieces of some of the activities, but you don't like all parts of it. Revise, put it together, make it unique, make it yours, make it your company's. Then we have to make sure we identify at least 3 tools if you want to be proficient, but if you want to be better than that, identify more than 3 sales tools. Did you know we have some trends to keep a lookout for between 2021 and beyond? What's going to happen in the business world? You'll have more visual communication, video conferencing. We don't have to travel all over the country. We can use video conferencing. Do you use WebEC? Do you use Teams? Do you use Zoom? What video conferencing do you use? Does it work for your company? What are the advantages and disadvantages? Another thing, YouTube and Vimeo. Have you used any of those? How about YouTube University? A lot of people are finding out that it's helpful to use YouTube. In fact, just today, I was having problems with my car. My car battery is dead. I can't get to my battery because it's in the trunk, but I can't get the trunk open because I have no battery. So I looked at YouTube University and found out how I can get to my battery when it's dead. I have a Mazda Miata, so be careful. All right. How about anywhere, anytime flexibility? What do people expect since they experienced COVID? 1 in 2 people will not return to jobs that don't offer remote work. You know that? More and more people are wanting to work remotely. Some of the executives, the top executives, are saying we're done working remote. We need to come back to the office. What does your company think? Is it okay to work remote or do they have to be there in person? Another point, 75% of the people are the same or more productive at home. I like that. 75% of people are the same or more productive at home. So we can work remote or in the office, and we can be equally as effective and productive. In fact, I've noticed working at home, I tend to work more hours than I would did if I was working at a job. 80% expect to work from home at least 3 times a week. What do you think? Do you work right now? What does your company think? 5 essential types of team communication tools: messaging, file sharing, video conferencing, document editing, and project management. Think about the tools you use. Which ones do you like the best? Which ones do you find effective? Can you think of any messaging sources you use? How about file sharing? Do you use OneDrive? Video conferencing? I bet you we've all used one form or another of video conferencing. Which one do you like the best? Why? Document editing, project management. What tools do you use? 15 collaboration tools for productive teams. Do any of these look familiar to you? Can you add others? Best free sales tools. Like I said before, free is always better, right? We have a tight budget to watch. We would like to have more tools. And now we're going to find out about 58 best free sales tools. Some of them would meet your needs, others won't. But we have 58, so we should probably find a couple that would. There's something to think about. 50% of employees have had at least 1 to 3 hours of virtual meetings per week. 83% of large enterprises and 27.6% of small businesses are most likely to purchase video collaboration application. So chances are you use one source or another if you work. 54 basic video and web conferencing statistics. Some ideas. 3 key video and web conferencing statistics. The top video conferencing benefits. Number one is what? It reduces travel, so we don't have to travel all over. It saves time because we get to the meeting, and then we get back to our regular place where we work, right? We don't have to travel all around from one airport or another trying to travel to go to meetings. Item number two, top barriers to wider end user adoption. What are some of the barriers that prevent people from using video conferencing? Well, if we were allowed to work from home, meeting rooms aren't equipped for video. If we're working from home and we're using Zoom or something similar to that, we're probably already equipped and it's easy to just come on in and meet and then leave. Number three, most popular video technology expansions. What are we looking at? Desktop video conferencing, right? I bet you on your desktop you have an icon that leads right to some video conferencing system. One or more video conferencing systems, right? I mean, I teach for several universities, so I use at least three or four different types of video conferencing systems. I like some more than I like others. What are the 10 best video conferencing applications? Do any of these look familiar to you? Which ones do you prefer? Are there any out there that you've never used out of this list? All right, so we've done the deliverable 4. We know we're going to go into our course first. We're going to look at the content that's in there. Then we're going to get busy on deliverable 4. Before we start work, we're going to read the scenario because we know it has a lot of information in it. The scenario divides our workload into two main sections. We're going to create the detailed agenda and we're going to summarize the events we will hold. Recommended that you use a table that will give you a list of your events, the start time, and the end time. We know that we have certain time restrictions we have to follow from the beginning to the end. And we know that we must address 5 types of events. And in this presentation, I shared some possible sources that you might use. As soon as the video updates, I'll be able to post it in a course announcement, and I will also post the links to the information that I've found. Please remember you're not committed to using my sources. I just like to give you a head start. If you have any questions, please reach out to me and wish you success. Thank you, everybody, for watching.